Okay, preparing. Are you nervous at all?
No.
No? I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me. Why?
Well, just because I am doing the YouTube stuff over here. So hold on.
Oh, okay. I was actually just pulling up YouTube.
There's already 3 people watching, Shanna.
All right,
Cool.
Cyber Week is happening now. Tractor Supply. Save on thousands of items.
Live. Hold on, let me make sure. On this part, anybody over at YouTube, bear with me. Okay, I think we are live.
I think so too.
Can you hear me okay, Shanna?
Oh, I can hear you great.
Okay, so let's see if it looks like there's some people in here. So if anybody could let us know in the chat, this is our first time going live, and I want to make sure that you can hear us and see us okay. So let me know. We'll wait for you guys. I know there's a little bit of a delay. Wait till some people start rolling in.
Yeah, I got to close down some things here.
Okay, go ahead. Take your time. This is our first run through of this, so it might take a couple minutes to get it all set up. So bear with us, anybody that's out there. Everything is perfect. Yay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh, Nick. I'm saying that correctly. Hi, Cosmic Love. I like the sound of that Cosmic Love music.
Ooh, nice.
Yay. So people are starting to roll in. Yay. Cool. Successful first live stream already.
Woo-hoo.
Hi, Ken Diamond. Thank you guys for letting us all know. So I'm really excited. Today I'm with my good buddy and my colleague, another astrologer. Her name is Shanna Cross.
Hi, everyone.
So let's see here. I'm going to pull up both screens or try to get both things on the screen so I can see you and see the chat. Oh, and I see a student.
We have a student. Yay.
Rosalia, am I saying your name correctly? Rosalia or Rosalia? So anyways, all right, you guys. So Shanna and I are really excited because we want to do a lot more live streaming on all of these astrological transits and big energies that are coming up because we're constantly navigating stuff. And I feel like it's going to be super helpful to help all of you as well, especially when we've got each other over here. And this is the stuff that we absolutely love to do. So our goal is to start doing more live streams on here in 2022. So let us know if you guys like it. I will be checking the chat from time to time. So if you guys have questions, we can definitely will answer some of those live stream. And we do plan on doing some readings, some live readings, or going through like all 12 signs of the zodiac for this and just giving little mini ideas of what this total new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius is all about, what it means for you, and even giving you some little tips and indicators of what to look for in your chart, if this is going to really affect you or not. And just giving some insight on what an eclipse is, background information, basically everything you need to know, which is what the title of this video is what Shanna and I are going to be covering today. So first and foremost, Shanna, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and like, how do we know each other? What do you do?
Yeah. So hi, everyone. I am Shanna Cross. I am Moon Apogee Astrology over on YouTube and Instagram. Yelena and I actually met through Heather Eland, our mentor, our teacher, and our boss now, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of. So we work with her. Yeah. So we work with her now for her Cosmic Academy of Astrology. We just had our final class last night. That was so much fun. I actually cried after it was done. Like I literally cried. So
yeah, just even giving like a little plug for that. What is the website? If you guys are interested in learning astrology, we start another course this spring and enrollment's going to be starting like January and February. So if you're interested, right now, all I can say is Google the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. Heather Eland is the teacher. She is amazing. I think a lot of you in here already know who she is. I see in the chat, Danielle says, I'm following you both because of Heather Eland. So Thank you, Heather. But anyways, we want to plug the Academy because it's amazing and it's super worth it. And Shannon and I are your TAs if you join. But sorry, I'll give it back to you.
So yeah, actually, you can sign up for the waitlist at astrologywithheather.com.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. So that'll be
who you are.
Well, so I'm a Leo ascendant. I'll give my big three. So I'm a Leo ascendant, Cancer sun, and Pisces moon. And I'm a little wackadoo sometimes, I guess. But I absolutely love astrology. I have been in love with astrology for my whole life, pretty much. So there is that. And yeah, I'm a mom of 2 kids. I am married. I have a full-time job. This is my part-time job, I guess, as an astrologer and TA. But I'm hoping to transition here soon.
It's a full-time professional astrologer.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for any of you that don't know me or I don't think I've ever told anybody my big three. Really, I'm a Taurus sun, Cancer moon, Cancer rising. So Shannon and I have the similar Cancerian energy. So yeah, nice to meet all of you, or happy, and thank you for returning for any of my returning subscribers. I did want to say my apologies for not really being on YouTube the past month. I caught the dreaded virus, but I'm all good now and back and ready to create content. So Shanna, are you, where can they find you if they're interested in getting a reading? We're going to cover that and then we'll get started.
Okay, so they can find me at www.apogeeofthemoon.com. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook at moonapogee_astrology.
And we'll make it easier for you guys. In the description box below, you'll see that there is a Linktree link for Shanna, and it's got all her links for her Instagram, her YouTube, and her website. Both of us do readings and consultations. So if you resonate with one of us more, or you just want to check out both of us, we would love to help you decode your natal chart and the energies of maybe the next 6 months to year of what you're experiencing. But with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into the energy of this total new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. So Shannon and I have a little idea of how we want to run through this. First, we want to start by breaking down what even is an eclipse and what does it mean in general. So we're going to cover just a couple basics, and I guess I'll start and then we'll kind of just bounce back and forth if that's okay with you. Okay. So basically in ancient times, because I study a lot of traditional Hellenistic astrology, Shanna does, she's starting to more so, but she's got a lot more modern knowledge. So we like to combine forces with that. And we help each other in areas where the other one might be lacking. So it's kind of cool. But in ancient times, eclipses they were like indicators of omens. And a lot of times it was bad omens, but we don't really look at it like that per se now. Of course, they can bring like big upheavals and just sudden and unexpected changes, or it's usually coincides with big periods in our lives when there's major change, major flux. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are already starting to feel this energy. We've been in eclipse season for weeks now because we just had the lunar eclipse in Taurus that we just navigated through. But in ancient times, this is when they would be able to tell what kind of mundane major events were occurring, like famines or droughts, or if the king was going to die or something like that. So, but now what do we use it for now? Shanna, can you give us more of some insight on that?
Yeah, so now in modern times, it's more considered fated karmic events that can be very disruptive in the moment. But once they're done, it's almost like you're living a whole new life, right? So people, places, things enter your life or leave your life during eclipses. So it's definitely, and especially this one, right, with the South Node.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So in modern times, they're not necessarily viewed as negative, but they are disruptive. So people definitely go through lots of turmoil, internal turmoil, as well as external manifestations of people losing their jobs, people getting married, people getting divorced, people having kids. It's literally those types of things. And a story from me, the last time we had the nodes in Sagittarius and Gemini, reverse it back in, what was that, 2011? I actually interviewed and got the job that I had around a lunar eclipse in Gemini, actually. And that was with the South Node. And it was also with my Midhaven ruler.
And you still have that job now, correct?
I still, yes.
But this
do.
eclipse, 9 years later, she is actually trying to move out of that job. So you can see the storyline of kind of how these things play out. And just to give you guys like a little insight, and then I'll give you an example too, so you can kind of try to figure out how this might work in your own lives. So these eclipses, every time we have an eclipse, they run in 18-month cycles. Okay. So we've actually had these Gemini Sagittarius eclipses since around April of May of 2020. That's when this whole story and plot line started. So if you're familiar with your natal chart, it's been happening on the axis of two opposing signs, Gemini and Sagittarius. And, they happen in seasons. So eclipses will go like some in the summertime and then some again in the wintertime each year. So this is the very end of an 18-month cycle. This is the final Sagittarius eclipse, final on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. So we are literally ending this storyline, which brings even more of a significance to this specific eclipse cycle, you guys. This is a big deal. That's why we were excited to go live and like broadcast about it and kind of start new history in our lives too, right? But basically want to go back just to help you guys kind of think about this. 9 years ago, because not only do they work in 18-month cycles, they also work in cycles of 18 years. So 9 years ago, we had eclipses on the same axis, and that would have been November 2011 to around May of 2013. So if you're familiar with this Sagittarius, Gemini areas of your chart and what houses those are, and the themes and topics associated with those houses, you can maybe think back to what was going on in your life at that time. If you're not that sure, you guys, we're going to run through the breakdown of that a little bit later in the video. So just stay tuned. We can help you figure that out. But just to give one example before we move on, for me, it's in my house of work, Sagittarius, like my daily mundane grind kind of thing. And I started this like corporate job, like working for corporations and everything. I got like a big job back then. And now 9 years later, this cycle comes back again, once again. And now the South Node is in Sagittarius, where 9 years ago, the North Node was there. It brought something new in. The South Node is here now, so we're releasing something. It's time to let that go. And now I work still in corporate, not the same job, but it's a corporate restaurant environment. And I'm actually kind of like starting to move away from that a little bit more. So as you can see, you can maybe start to correlate how this is going on in your own life. Let's see, does anybody have any questions in the chat? How are we doing over here? Just so we can get a good idea before we move on. Is all of this making sense? Oh my gosh, Rap is in the chat. Hi, Rap. I feel so special.
I know, me too.
Oh, that's so cool. It looks like everybody's doing really good, letting us know their sun, moon, and rising sign.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before we move on here. Okay, so it looks like we're doing good with questions. We are going to stop from time to time, you guys. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat and we can stop and answer them for you. But anyways, if you want to know, if you can actually think back to 18 years, that was the last time the South Node would have been in the sign of Sagittarius, North Node in Gemini, like this cycle that we are ending right now. And that was all the way back to, gosh, Shanna, can you think how long 18 years would have been?
2001.
So 2001 to 2002. That's a long time ago. So yeah, I'll just leave that there and you guys can ponder.
Well, what's interesting is we had that crisis, remember, in 2001 here in America?
Oh, that, and it changed all the travel restrictions and everything.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on some mundane, like world events and everything that could be tied in with this eclipse, but we'll save the rest of that for later. But that's a good point, Shanna. We had 9/11.
Yeah.
And the South Node is an area of decrease. We're going to talk about the nodes and what they mean a little bit too. But since the South Node was in Sagittarius back in 2001, like it is now, you saw what happened.
Yeah. I mean,
travel.
Yeah.
Restricted. And what's going on now? Travel is restricted. So yeah, very similar things coinciding. But Shanna, let's talk a little bit before we get into more mundane, like worldwide stuff, why don't we continue on with the more beginner, I guess you can say, items like the North Node and the South Node? Because in order for eclipses to happen, what needs to be present?
The nodes, right? So the nodes are actually calculated points based on where the eclipses are calculated to happen, which when they move, it's the North Node and the South Node. I guess maybe in our natal charts, maybe I'll say that as well. The South Node is an area where we know this energy. We've been here, we've done that, however many lifetimes, if you believe in reincarnation. If not, it's early childhood. Yes. So it's something that you grew up with. It's something that so it's some place that you're comfortable with. The North Node is kind of what you're moving into and where you're going. And it's new, it's exciting, and it's scary a lot of the time because it's not energy that we've been in or energy that we have dealt with, I guess, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Or nothing that we've experienced before, really. So a lot of times we end up resorting into our South Node because it's where we're comfortable, right? So that's kind of how you would look at it in a natal chart. But the nodes also move. So that's when eclipses happen. So there's obviously certain areas where the North Node is of expansion and movement and growth. And then the South Node is letting something go, ending something, leaving something behind. And just to kind of like move on from that and talk more about like what the nodes mean in traditional Hellenistic astrology, because it's a little bit different from that modern approach.
Right.
The North Node is indicative of a place of increase or gain. You can think of it like a battery, right? So the North Node's like the plus sign of the battery. And then the South Node is like the negative portion, which is an area of decrease. And that's for good or for bad on either end. So say, for instance, you have the North Node on Saturn or something like that in your natal chart. That's like a gain or an increase of Saturnian things, which is limitations, restrictions, challenges, hardship, all of those kinds of things. So you want the South Node on Saturn more so. But so anyways, yeah, right. So now we have an understanding of what the nodes mean. Well, this Sagittarius total new moon eclipse is with the South Node. So a new moon eclipse automatically means new beginnings, seeding something new, moving in a new direction, starting something brand new that we've never started before, or a new aspect of something that maybe we have already started and we're inventing something different. And then what does it mean now that this new moon and new beginnings is with the South Node? It makes it confusing a little bit.
It does, right? So like something from the past coming back, or maybe a reintegration of a person, a place, or a thing into your life, right?
Yes.
Or it could be, so
bringing something back from the past, potentially,
or because new moons are associated too with letting go. That's one of the things that, so people say, full moons are, it's a culmination and a completion and yada, 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 right? Yeah. But the way I see full moons is a full moon is actually, it's bearing the fruit, right? Like you know all about the whole lunation cycle. So, the full moon is bearing the fruit. What fruit has been,
or lack thereof, and reaching crisis because of not bearing any fruit.
Right. So now as we come down to the new moon, now we have to evaluate what we need to do differently and what we need to let go of, right? Yeah. So it could be letting go of past cycles completely.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is what it seems like that is happening a lot right now, because we've got the nodes about to switch signs into Taurus and Scorpio. And that's going to start a brand new 18-month cycle. It's going to bring in brand new topics and everything that we're going to be evolving into, growing into, letting go of. So yes, there's a lot of indication of release that's happening, especially we're in the last month of the year. That's a major indication of release. Pretty Captain Obvious over here. So anyways, I think that's kind of like a good explanation in general of what eclipses mean and what a solar eclipse is all about. So new beginnings tied in with releasing and letting something go. Now, let's bring in the Sagittarius archetype a little bit. What can you tell us about eclipses in the sign of Sagittarius?
So eclipses in the sign of Sagittarius, I mean, history definitely kind of dictates what's going on there with restriction in travel, restriction in flying, really, higher education. I don't know what the statistics are for kids going back to college now, but I imagine it's pretty low, or if it's not low, it looks much different than it has in the past. So I'm sure that there's maybe more online or people going into certificate programs or something like that. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because now you're starting to see with the North Node in Gemini that there's been so much of a surge forward and moving into community-based learning, where like a lot of mothers that are homeschooling now are starting to work within certain networks with each other, like teaching their children and everything. We're starting to move away from certain areas of education that we were at previously. So there's been a lot of leaving behind the old of certain educational systems and like moving towards new,
Right.
I like what Shanna said with travel too, because if you weren't aware, Sagittarius rules foreign travel. And if we went back to 2001, 2002, again with 9/11, we saw that travel was restricted. There were so many different things that were put
in the other room.
And now Shanna's having children coming in. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. I thought I muted. I'm sorry.
Go in the other room.
You've got the TV up.
I like it. And then now we see everything that's happening with COVID and all the travel restrictions. So you guys, I hate to say it, but yes, this is the final Sagittarian eclipse. Some things could manifest right now or in the weeks to come. And we'll talk about manifestation points too. So stay with us. We're going to give you guys some tools and some dates for manifestation points of when these things could occur worldwide or in your own lives. But I already heard somebody say yesterday that our president is going to come on and speak about more travel restrictions that are going to be happening with international travel. So as we can see, there are still potentially more restrictions that are going to be put in place. And it's interesting because this eclipse is conjunct Mercury, and Mercury is all about messages. It's the messenger and information and communication. So it's like we're receiving some type of communication regarding all of this. So that is one thing we can certainly look out for. Another thing Shanna and I had kind of thought about was Sagittarius is associated with religion and tradition, and like our belief systems and our own personal philosophies that sometimes can be stuck. And we might think Sagittarian energy is all about there's one way to do it, right? But Sagittarius does like to learn and grow and expand. So this is a lot about, with that South Node energy, leaving behind old religious systems, leaving behind old traditions. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing this a lot, not only in my own family, but all over around me. What do you guys think about that? Shanna, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that there's a movement in like the spiritual community, right? Not necessarily just religion, but also people coming into their own and kind of releasing old dogmas and old patterns of faith and belief and things like that, and kind of bringing it back to the self, right? With that North Node in Gemini.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even with the North Node in Gemini is like information, lots of information. And it's like being able to consider other forms of information, exploring, learning, taking things in. And, a lot of times with Sagittarius, it's all about learning through experience and everything, but they can kind of be narrow-minded sometimes. So it's kind of like leaving that aspect behind and willing to consider new opportunities and new ways of being, I would like to say. Raf says in the chat too, do we think that the node shift that travel restrictions will ease up? I think ultimately, because the nodes are going to be, like we said, moving into Taurus and Scorpio. And I like the sextile to Saturn with this eclipse as well. What do you think about that, Shanna? Shanna's really good with like aspects and everything. So
Well, I think there's definitely working with, there might be like working with other groups of people even, because I know that I saw an article that there are pilots, right? Sorry, I was having a hard time finding that word. Pilots, flight attendants, the people that have left kind of the bigger enterprises or corporations, some of them actually are starting their own, sorry, I'm blurry here, starting their own companies. So,
like travel companies?
yes.
Wow. So we might see some really interesting manifestations of what's going on with this then.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's really interesting. I haven't heard anything about that yet, but thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And that would be really helpful right now. I think, like what I'm thinking about this too is I do think they're going to allow more travel. Like I just heard one of my clients, she hasn't been able to see her lover or her partner because one of them's in the UK, one of them's in New Zealand. And now they're just opened the New Zealand border, which is kind of coinciding with this eclipse, but they're making it really hard for people that are traveling. Like you do have to be fully, jabbed. I don't want to say it.
Right.
And you just there's a lot of like hoops that you have to jump through. So it's almost like there's more restrictions, even though these things are opening up. So do you think that's kind of how it's going to be? Like you'll be able to, but it's going to be hard for you to do it.
Well, right. But who's making the rule that you have to be? Is it the actual flight lines that are doing it? Like the Delta?
I want to say it's the country.
Well, I mean, that would make sense with, if we're looking at the American chart itself, right?
Yeah.
We are a Sag rising country, so it could be that. But in general, across the world, I mean, I think it depends on where you are and what, the chart of the birth of the country is and how that fits in, where it's hitting. But no, I don't know. I think that we're going to find, especially in the sextile to Saturn, though, I really think that there's going to be some alternative forms of travel that will pop up that we'll be able to utilize.
I like that. I'm hoping that that's the case. Fingers crossed. Well, all we know is that there is certainly going to be another shift in this plot line regarding travel because this is the final push. So we are going to see some shifts. We are going to see some changes. I would like to say that yes, certain things could potentially open up, but we'll only know in hindsight, I guess you can say, right?
Sure.
So anyways, with that said, why don't we talk about, I wanted to just bring up, we have a couple other aspects that are tied in with this eclipse. Like we have a really beautiful trine over to Chiron in Aries. And then we also have this conjunct Mercury, which we already talked about a little bit. I see this trine over to Chiron as we talked about allowing and letting go of like past belief systems and everything like that. And like old religious, maybe indoctrination and conditioning and just ways that we were raised traditionally that no longer fit with our personal philosophies moving forward or the new paradigms that a lot of us are moving into. And I feel like there's a lot of healing that needs to take place surrounding some of these things. Like I know for me, when I had my spiritual awakening, I was raised Catholic. And I started to realize that a lot of this information that I had been taught my entire life wasn't what I thought it was, and we'll leave it at that. I don't want to get too much into that, but I was mad. I was really mad. I was hurt. I was angry. I went through this whole process and I had to heal. And I feel like collectively, this is something that we have been going through and shifting and moving with all of these changes. But a trine is always an opening and an opportunity. And to Chiron, it's for healing and it's for assisting us with those woundings that we have because of these things. Do you have any thought on that, Shanna?
So this is a trine from this eclipse to
Chiron. Yeah.
So a trine is a really nice, easy flow of energy. It's the energy of Jupiter, right? So this is very beneficial, I think, especially with Aries being a cardinal sign, being a sign of action, right? It's action through crisis, but it's still, and Sagittarius is adaptable. It's a mutable sign. So if we can adapt to the changes, then we can definitely take action and heal, right? That's how I see that. That's beautiful.
And adapt to the changes while still kind of holding our autonomy.
Yeah.
Like still being ourself as an individual and not like following the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Aries is very individualistic.
Yeah.
It's very, like me sign.
Definitely. So, and I think this is going to also be really positive energy of helping people let go of, like we said, past indoctrination, past belief systems and philosophies and whatever, and helping them to heal and become more of who they really are ultimately. So this is really beautiful energy. That's just a couple different ways of like exploring it and understanding it. Shanna, do you have any other insights on the conjunction to Mercury? This eclipse is going to be combined with Mercury.
Yeah. So Mercury in Sagittarius is definitely, I think there's definitely going to be some very interesting developments with the education, specifically with children, possibly.
Yes.
Because Mercury, Mercury rules Gemini. It's, it's early childhood education. It's all that. That's where the North Node is. So I think there might be a change and a letting go overall with how we educate our children, or how maybe we're not necessarily going to send them to institutions anymore, and we're going to adapt and maybe have smaller classrooms with, maybe instead of a teachers union teaching at a formal school, it's a teachers guild, and it's in your local community at someone's house and then someone else's house. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
I that's just the sense that I have. I mean,
well, and tell them how you are already being affected by this.
So we, because of certain circumstances that arose with my child's school, I have two of them, and we decided that it was probably best if we pulled them from the school and homeschooled them. So me being, of course, the earth mama that I am, that people have given me that name. That's not something that I call myself. People have told me I'm like a nature's daughter person. So that's what I go by sometimes. But there's magic school, or it's a magic academy, and it's based on the seasons. It's based on spring, summer, winter, and fall. Sacred geometry is in this coursework.
Oh, cool.
For the math, it's crazy beautiful.
I love that.
Snowflakes. Yeah.
I wish I could have done that when I was little.
Right?
We also have Cosmic Love Music said she was just talking about homeschooling her kindergartner. See, there's a lot of stuff that's changing. Hugo Jasper, hi Dave. He says he's very excited for New Earth. Yes. And it's interesting because Shanna and I were just talking about like the manifestation of a lot of these changes, and we can move into maybe talking about some manifestation points. Well, actually, let's do this first. I want to help you guys figure out, because certain eclipses, we'll talk about this and you might think to yourself, well, that didn't affect me at all. I'm confused. Like, eclipses are supposed to be this big idea, this big, huge deal. And that didn't seem to even touch me. Like, what happened? Why was I not included in this big eclipse ordeal? Well, it's because maybe certain instances your chart is not getting hit in certain ways that other people's are. There'll be certain seasons of eclipses, trust me, that will hit you. I promise. So what do you look for? If you are somebody that is familiar with pulling up a chart for yourself, I would highly suggest pulling that up. If you're able to kind of read these things. And Shanna, what can we tell them are certain indicators? I guess I'll give them a couple, you give them a couple, and we can kind of ping pong back and forth. First, you want to locate the Gemini and Sagittarius houses in your chart. So first of all, if you guys are a Gemini or Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising sign, that's going to be a huge indicator that these eclipses will probably be very significant for you, because it's going to be either conjunct, opposing, or squaring your sun, moon, or rising, especially if your sun, moon, or rising for this eclipse specifically will be around the 12-degree marker of Sagittarius or in Gemini, or any mutable signs, for instance. So that would be also Pisces or Virgo around 12 degrees. And that can be 5 degrees on either side. So we'll say, I'm not doing math right now.
So 12.
6 degrees to 9 degrees. That's what we'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 degrees to 9 degrees Sag, or I can't add 6 degrees to 15 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. That works.
Anyways, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm bad at doing math right now. Okay, Shanna, give them a couple more indicators. So first, sun, moon, rising.
So yeah, sun, moon, and rising is definitely very important. That's very, very personal. If you have your midhaven point or your IC point, right? So this would be your career, or this would be your home, property, family points. That's super important, or the rulers of those points in your chart. So a personal example that I can give is that I have the ruler of my midhaven at 19 degrees of Gemini. And this summer, I had an eclipse, it bang on my 10th house ruler. So what am I doing? Changing my career, right? So if your midhaven or your IC is in Gemini or Sagittarius, super important to pay attention to, because there's going to be changes in what you're doing out in the world, how you're known, even changes on the home front. If it's your IC, maybe property, if that's the thing that you're looking at. And then, Jupiter, if it rules your IC or your midhaven, Mercury, if it rules either of those, any of the planets that rule those points are going to be super important, even if it's your descendant, right? So if your descendant ruler is being hit, expect changes in relationship, expect changes in contracts, agreements, and negotiations.
And how to find these points, you guys. So basically your ascendant is on the left-hand side of your chart. It's the point that was rising. It's your rising sign. It's the descendant, the relationship point is exactly opposite to the chart from that. The midheaven, which is your career indicator, it says MC, and it's usually at the top of the chart somewhere. And the IC, the home point, is going to be directly opposite the point from the MC. Sometimes it's not listed on the chart, so just know that. And I would say if you guys are having like a birthday anywhere around an eclipse, that's going to affect the energy of your entire year. And it's going to be a major pivotal and life-changing year for you. Any other big indicators that you can think of that are worth mentioning? I mean, if they're hitting personal planets, like if they're hitting your Mars, your Mercury, your Venus, your Jupiter, anything like that, there could be some, it won't be maybe as grand, but some minor and significant changes could potentially happen for you as well.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, so those are just some things to look at. And now there are also some ways of looking for when these eclipse storylines and events might manifest and what kind of dates we can look for. So if you guys are having any trouble figuring this out in your chart right now, I would highly suggest, if you're going through it, you're going through some big changes and shifts, get a reading. You guys get a personal reading. And I'm not just saying that to like promote us, but you don't even have to get one with us. I would highly suggest having a professional astrologer help you decode your chart. And they'll be able to tell you when these things might occur for you or what might happen. So basically, we talked about a couple manifestation points. Now, I'll just give the first one. So the eclipse is happening at 12 degrees, but the south node will be at 1 degree. So when planets transit over those degrees that the eclipse occurred, there might be certain things that manifest based off of what that planet means. So on December 15th, we have one of our first manifestation points. Mars is going to be moving into Sagittarius on the 13th. And then on the 15th, Mars hits the south node at 1 degree. So basically what this could indicate, many things. Mars rules over severing and separation. I can't talk.
Right.
Sorry. Severing and separating certain things. It helps us to let things go and for things to be cut out of our lives, right? So this could be, especially if maybe we're holding on to something for dear life, Mars could come in and remove it. Mars also rules agitation and frustrations and anger. So watch out for certain events that could be a little bit volatile, but according to traditional astrology, the south node means decrease. So this could also help to eradicate those frustrations and those challenges, and it could help to really push some things forward. So look out for that December 15th date. Shanna, why don't you talk about the cross quarter?
This is my own term that I call it. So
write these dates down, you guys, because these might be good indicators.
Right. So what is it? I think it's March 2nd.
Yeah, the new moon in Pisces.
The new moon in Pisces is at 12 degrees exactly of this eclipse that we're having right now. So it's squaring it exactly. So expect there to be a manifestation point at that time of what this eclipse is bringing up for you. So, I mean, it could be, depending on how your chart is set up, it could be any number of things, a person, a place, or a thing.
Oh yeah. And as Shannon and I were talking, and I'm talking about how this is hitting my chart, I'm moving across the country and I'm like starting a new job. And it's interesting because all of these manifestation dates that we found are like significant days. Like this is my house of work. And this cross quarter, March 2nd manifestation date is when I'll be starting my new job. It's literally the date I start my new job. So if you guys are planning something big, think about these dates. These would be good dates to maybe choose to move something forward, or you might see that something just moves itself forward during that time period. So that was March 2nd on the new moon in Pisces. You might see something manifest. We also think that there's a couple Jupiter points that could be beneficial. Maybe bring an opportunity or make things flow a little bit easier. We might see some lucky, we might go through a lucky strike or something. Now,
Yeah, this is that.
What?
When is that again?
Oh, Jupiter?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have because Jupiter is going to be moving into Pisces at the end of this month. So on December 28th would be the first push of this. And that's when Jupiter hits the South Node. In Sagittarius, or it's when it squares the South Node.
South Node, yep.
Yes. So that is December 28th. And then another awesome Jupiter point is when Jupiter hits the actual degree of the eclipse itself. 12 degrees, it squares it. And that's going to be February 21st, you guys. So we might see something big come up around the February 21st time point, which could be kind of beneficial for us. I like that. Do you have anything else to say about these manifestation dates?
Yeah, I mean, well, Jupiter rules this eclipse. So Jupiter, squaring the nodes or squaring the eclipse point, by degree exact as it's transiting through Pisces, this could be like an expansion on or a manifestation of something that's super big that you've been working on, right? Like, I mean, we know what it is for you. You're moving across the country.
Which has always been a dream of mine.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Pisces.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, that is really crazy. I can't even.
So wherever Pisces is in your chart, I mean, you can definitely expect a manifestation when Jupiter comes through, squares the node point, squares the eclipse point. There can definitely be some manifestations of a Jupiterian kind of theme, right? So love,
learning, teaching, travel, like abundance, luck, opportunity, like all of those kinds of things. And what I like about this too, Shannon and I were talking about it, there's so many ways of breaking down a house, and there's different decans of a house that can give you information. Oh, thank you so much. Jody just gave us I don't even know what that is, a super chat, I think.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Super chat. Oh, I feel so special. Thank you. We really, really appreciate you, Jody. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We're about to get into readings here in a minute, you guys. So what was I was talking about decans. So Shannon's going to talk about where this eclipse is falling decan wise. But in traditional astrology, we also look to what are called the bounds, and there's different rulers of the bounds. Now, you can think of each house as like a house, right? And that house is ruled by whatever sign is ruling it. So for this eclipse, it's Sagittarius, which means Jupiter rules this eclipse. It's the dispositor, we would call it. Now, it can also be broke down into 5 different bedrooms, and we call those the bounds. And eclipse is taking place in the bedroom of Jupiter, which is awesome because it is actually not just in the house of Jupiter, but it's actually hanging out in the bedroom of Jupiter. So this is even more beneficial for whatever it is we're letting go of, whatever we're starting, this big, like cathartic moment of transformation and release that's taking place for a lot of people. And I really like that. Now, what do you have to say about the decan too?
Yeah, the decan, this is happening in Aries decan. So Aries as a sign, right? So obviously it's going to be more Sagittarius theme, but with it being in Aries decan, it's going to be taking action literally, because it's, I mean, that craziness, right? Like me deciding to pull my kids from school and now I am the teacher. And this is happening in my 5th house. So yeah, that makes so much sense. And taking action, it was my action that took my kids out of school.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So literally though, it's you personally taking action on
Initiating.
Initiate.
Aries is an initiating energy. So if you guys are trying to initiate something right now, this is a lot of really positive energy to help move that forward. We've got that Aries Mars energy combined with Jupiter, which is like Santa Claus. So this is good. This is really good. Let us know in the chat if you guys are like initiating anything or if you're resonating with what we're talking about right now. And then I'm going to read some of these in a moment, but Shanna and I also wanted to pull up the Sabian symbol for this because we felt like it was really interesting. So, and I got to get this on the screen here.
Okay.
Technology, trying to figure out how to share everything. Yeah. So you just got to bear with me here, you guys. Okay, there it is. Now I can figure out how to share it. And here we go. Okay. So this is really interesting. Shanna, why don't you take us through this a little bit? So the Sabian symbols are channeled messages for every degree of the zodiac. These are the Sabian symbols by Dane Widyar, who is an amazing, famous astrologer. And we felt like this was really interesting. And Shanna had some amazing insights to share with us on this.
Okay, so the
you don't have to
keynote,
read the whole thing if you don't want to.
No, probably not the whole thing, but some key points though is like the keynote itself, the spiritualization and promotion of great symbols of a new age by mind sensitive to its precursory manifestations. And then we, the eagle, the flag, right? So the flag is the abstract of the nation, and it becomes the eagle, which is actually the United States symbol, right? So specifically pointed, this is happening not only in America's chart in the 1st house, it's also the Sabian symbol is pointing specifically to America as well. And I'm not trying to be American centric. I do apologize. That is not what I'm trying to do. But it's just interesting. And especially because we're coming up on our Pluto, next year. And everything that's going on currently is indicative of that. And the eagle is the first living creature to perceive the rising sun. So having perceived it, it heralds it. And so, for people that, vocabulary is kind of a thing, that's an old word. A herald or a heraldment, or however you want to say it, is announcing, right? So at the very bottom, the key word, annunciation, that is an announcement of sorts. And so one of the things that we were talking about, and I really think this is the birth of a new spiritual movement. Yeah, there we go. We got the annunciation.
Yeah, it was an annunciation is the announcement by the angel Gabriel to the Virgin Mother of her conception of Christ, which is a brand new spiritual revolution that was taking place with this annunciation, right? So that's what Shanna was talking about. We're basically going through a brand new birth of a spiritual revolution.
Yeah.
So then we were trying to like time it out and see like, when is this potentially going to be completed, And a lot of times we were reading that when Saturn crosses over the point of the eclipse that occurs, that's when the events could potentially be complete and ended. But that's not going to be for another 20 years when Saturn hits Sagittarius again. So we are, it seems like a long time, you guys, but if you think about what it's going to take to kind of break everything down, rebuild it, change everybody's belief systems and paradigms of existence, this is something that could go on and on and on for quite a long time. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I mean, I think we covered that one. That to me, it will definitely be very interesting looking at it in that light and how it unfolds. And you were saying something earlier too about Mars, right? This isn't your traditional Hellenistic stuff, right?
Well, what was it that I was saying? Remind me.
You said Mars can be certain manifestations of it, or
Well, it was just when Mars crosses over the point, it's when something can actually be moved or set into motion or something like that. And then
so,
when Saturn crosses it, which Saturn will cross it much later, that's usually when we have the completion of whatever energies were set in place during that eclipse. So that was just one way of looking at it, really. I found that to be very interesting.
I think that's very interesting too. So set in motion. So definitely pay attention to when Mars hits 12 degrees of Sagittarius, because that'll be
December 15th, you guys. So that's
yeah.
soon. Yeah. So, and then I like that looking at it in a traditional way, it could be easing or decreasing, or a decline of some sort of frustration, confrontation, or internal aggression, maybe that we've been experiencing because something isn't moving forward. It could be that, right? If we're looking at it from a traditional standpoint, which I do like. Okay, let's see what everybody's saying. So basically, Cosmic Love Music asked Shanna, where does she find the curriculum for this, what you were talking about earlier?
The curriculum. Oh, magicforestacademy.com.
Magicforestacademy.com. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then Ashley F said she has a twin sister 1 minute apart, and it's crazy how different yet similar their eclipse lessons seem to be falling or crashing into place. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you guys are different people living two different lives, so that makes sense. Let's see. Do you want to answer this one? Tiara says, what about having an ascendant in Gemini?
An ascendant in Gemini. So this could be letting go of a fated karmic relationship that has run the course of, what it needed to teach you, what it needed to be for you, and letting it go. Or, this could also be fated karmic relationship coming in that is possibly from a past life, right? Or possibly from earlier in your childhood, like a relationship that feels familiar to you with the South Node, especially.
And if you look back, you may have already seen that maybe this relationship came in earlier in the cycle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking of somebody that I know who is a Gemini rising, and she did have a very fated karmic partner come in. So this is just maybe a continuation of that storyline. So maybe the partnership didn't work out, and it's something that you're going to be releasing or letting go of, or maybe there's some new revelation in the relationship or something like that. So it could happen that way too.
Yep, totally.
Let's see here. Heather's here. Hi. Oh my God, Tracy's here.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Oh my God. Tracy says, y'all didn't tell me I could see your beautiful faces while working today. This was really last minute, and I've been stressing out all day trying to figure out how to do a live stream. So this is like a brand new thing for Shanna and I today. Let's see. Rosalia says this eclipse hits my South Node, Uranus and MC in the 11th house, letting go of old friends, actually, and a hyper focus on her career. It's feeling like a go, go, go inside. Well, best of luck to you. That sounds great. Sometimes we need like a renewal of the people that we surround ourselves with too, in order to become somebody new in our career, right? So I wish you the best of luck with that. Yeah, it's a total party in here. I feel so special. Shanna, don't you?
I do.
And Raph is here.
And Raph is here, yeah.
Obviously, you guys are probably all already on Astrology with Heather's channel, I'm sure. But if not, you guys got to check her out. We were plugging the Academy earlier as well. So you guys, if you want to learn astrology, again, check out the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. If you want to drop a link in the chat, I don't have a link right now, but we're about to start enrollment. And then you have to check out Raphael Ray at Radiant Reality. He is amazing. He does tarot, astrology, numerology. So check out his channel too, Radiant Reality. These are some of our friends, and I feel really happy to have you guys here. Okay, you guys, so we're going to get into just some general forecasts for what it could mean for these eclipses to hit. I think we could just go, let's see. let's see here. Shanna, do you want to just start out with Aries and then we can kind of go from there?
Yeah. So Aries, this would be, a South Node eclipse in your ninth house. So education, higher education, not like really education, but like college or university. This could be even certificate programs. This could be travel. This could be, traveling to a foreign country, or even foreign people coming in too, because, people are seen in the ninth house as well. So that's definitely something there. People either coming in or letting go of something.
Good.
Good.
Okay, so I'm trying to think here. So if we have Taurus on the ascendant, this is going to be, it's hard to do this, 8th house.
Yep.
Okay, so if you are a Taurus rising or Taurus sun, this will be on your 8th house, which could be indicating that you are potentially maybe paying off some debts or dealing with something pertaining to joint financial ventures or any loans or maybe taxes. This house is associated with other people's money and resources that you gain from outside sources or outside people. So it's a good indicator with the South Node here that you could be letting go of debts. You could be paying things off and maybe building a healthier relationship and mindset around money. So your personal philosophies around money and how you have finances with your partner or something like that are completely changing, and you're moving away from something. This is also the house that's associated with our deep conditioning, our inner psychology, and maybe the traumas that we have taken on that have affected our lives in certain ways and make us see the world in a certain way. And this could be a time when we're letting go of the ways in which these things have affected us. And we are maybe getting the healing that we truly need. I feel like, especially with this Chiron influence, it's really helping to regenerate and to heal some of these woundings that we have. So this could be a really good time to maybe get some therapy, or maybe you've already been doing this, but this is a really good time to allow yourself to let go of certain dynamics associated with that.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So next would be Gemini. So this would be 7th house. And like we said earlier, right? We talked about this because we had a Gemini rising, 7th house. This is either fated karmic relationships that have run their course that you're now letting go of, or a new relationship coming in that feels fated, that feels karmic, that feels familiar, that almost feels like you already know this person, right? So, and maybe it's already happened. Maybe there's just a finalization of that energy, right? As we hit this last eclipse in Sagittarius, for sure.
Okay, so let's see here. We've got Cancer rising. Oh, and this is me. I'm acting like I have. I think it's just because I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm like, fun moment. Okay. Well, Cancer rising. This is an easy one. So this is going to be your 6th house, Cancer. So the 6th house is associated with work in general. There's a couple other things we'll discuss, but work, this could be moving away from maybe doing something that you've been doing for a really long time. This could be ending a job, maybe potentially starting something new, some new exciting endeavor that you're going to gain a lot of experience from. This could even, because the South Node is associated with bringing things back from the past, you could be bringing back maybe an old skill set or an old job or something that you've already done, and kind of incorporating that moving forward in what you do. That's just a possibility. This is also the house of health. So if you have been experiencing any health concerns, maybe this is the time that you find that right doctor, or you find certain like resolve to this ailment that you've been having, and you're able to kind of release that or let it go or heal from it. And maybe you find a new way of eating healthy or working out or doing something like that that really helps you on your path. Some new daily habit that you could incorporate. That's it.
Good. So that's a pretty good list too. Let's see. So then, oh yeah, I'm acting like I don't know now. Leo rising. This is your 5th house, Leo. So this could be, your children letting something go, if that's applicable to you. If you don't have children, this could be you letting go of an old hobby or an old love or a love affair, even if that's applicable to you as well. But also this could be maybe bringing back something that you're truly passionate about that maybe you haven't done in a long time, and carrying that with you through, from now on. Maybe it's something that you haven't done in a while, but you're like, you know what, I really want to do this. And I can think in the back of my head, as a Leo ascendant, there's definitely something that I'm thinking about bringing back into the fold as well, something that I used to be really passionate about doing. So there is that. Children, definitely. It could be maybe letting go of schooling of some kind, especially with Mercury in the mix. It could also be a new lover, maybe, someone that is a fated karmic romantic boyfriend girlfriend kind of energy. It's not the same as the seventh house. It's more like a love affair or a fling of some kind. So there could definitely be some interesting developments there as well.
Woo!
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. I like that one. And okay, so we'll move on to Virgo, right? Virgo rising. Okay, so Virgos, this is going to be taking place in your fourth house. And the fourth house has everything to do with where you live. So it could be where you live. It could be the people that you live with, your family. And it could have to do with your parents. This is also associated with the parents. So that you could be moving. This could be a big indicator of like a potential move that's coming up in the next 6 months or so, which is very exciting. Or maybe you have roommates that are moving out, or you're bringing a roommate in or something like that. Maybe there's something significant that's happening with your parents, and it's not even necessarily you that it's happening with, because we have to remember our houses aren't all about us. It's about other people too. And sometimes I forget that when I'm doing interpretation. So these are also big indicators of just our foundations in general that could potentially be shaken up. So maybe it has to do with job, or something that you might be moving for, or maybe you're renovating your home or something, or maybe you're getting into real estate, because this could also be about selling a home or something. So there's a lot of different possibilities. Homeschooling and education, since this is about learning and experience. So those are just a couple insights I have on this.
Yeah, I love that. So Virgo, so now we have Libra. So Libra, this would be the third house. So this could be a circumstance that arises, right? Because it is an eclipse with siblings, really extended family members. Maybe something happens in the life of your cousin. This could also be maybe something happens in your neighborhood where you live, your local community. Maybe there's something from the past that's being brought in for your community that you're living in. Vehicles too. This is also your vehicle where you like driving, things like that. So there could definitely be maybe a new vehicle, or maybe going back to a type of vehicle that you used to drive. I mean, that could be a thing here too. Education as well. This is early education, or commerce, right? Third house is also commerce. So this could be like if you own your own business, if you are a merchant of some kind, there could be some developments there with this eclipse happening as well. So I think that's pretty it for Libra.
The third house is really vast, so it's a hard one to read. Okay, Scorpio. Scorpio, this is going to be taking place in your second house. So it's all about money for you. And on that Scorpio Taurus axis, all about money. So basically you could potentially be leaving behind maybe some old income stream or way of bringing in revenue, or leaving behind resources, or, certain resources that you value, or there are certain things that you buy for certain reasons. You might be letting go of the belief system surrounding things like that. Like, materialism in general, consumerism. I think that's something that you could potentially be facing and dealing with right now. Maybe reshaping the way you think and operate based off of those types of things. It could also be bringing back an old income source. That is always a potential as well. Eclipses, they can certainly shake things up and be a little volatile. So there might be some hiccups relative to income. So just hang in there during this time frame.
Yeah, totally. Actually, I do know a Scorpio rising. She just told me that she started a coaching program that she used to do for cheerleading. And she got asked, so she's having a different revenue stream come in. And this is just recently. This is just in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Totally. Let's see, who are we on now? So Sagittarius themselves, right? So this for you, Sagittarius, is a huge karmic release of an old you, literally. Like you are shedding your entire skin, right? Like how powerful is that? So this could see all aspects of your life affected because this is seen from the first house, from your ascendant. So if you are anywhere from, let's see, what did we say? 7 to 15 degrees?
I mangled the degrees. Don't ask me about the numbers right now.
I think like 7 to 15. I think that sounds good because it's at 12. So this could definitely see, especially the closer you are with your ascendant to the eclipse point itself, this is definitely a major shift for you. But Sagittarius in general, this is a major karmic letting go because the South Node has been traversing here for the last 18 months. It's about to move on. This is definitely you shedding an old you, an old life, an old persona, and letting it go, letting it lie where it is, and moving into a brand new you, period. I mean, that's just beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
How good can that get?
Right?
I mean, I loved the eclipses I had in my first house. It was hard, but like, I liked the rebirth kind of thing. So good luck, Sagittarius. It's exciting. So we've got Capricorn. Oh yeah, across from Cancer. Okay, so I'm very familiar with these eclipses because I also have them on the 6th and 12th. The 6th and 12th house axis can be a little bit more challenging, Capricorn. So this is going to be happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of, it's a hidden house, and is the house where sometimes we can be taken away from the first house, which is the driver's seat. They called it the helm in traditional astrology. It's where we have access to our whole chart. We're like the navigator behind the ship, right? So the 12th house falls away from the first house, and where sometimes it can have to do with self-defeating behaviors, ways in which we sabotage ourselves and take ourselves off course. And maybe anybody that we're associated with that kind of steers us off course a little bit. So you want to watch out for those certain things right now, especially if you look back to previous eclipse cycles, like we had mentioned about 9 years ago. What was going on in your life during that time frame? Maybe you can pick up some little clues so you don't repeat some of these same self-defeating behaviors. This is also the house of mental health. So you could potentially be dealing with some maybe reoccurring mental health issues that stem from previous events or circumstances that are coming back for you to work through and release once and for all. Those are definitely things that could be occurring. And this is also the house of solitude and seclusion and isolation. So maybe there's some circumstances or events that are going to be transpiring where you are going to be spending more time and contemplation or in study or doing spiritual practices of some sort, maybe studying religious books or spiritual texts or something like that. I can see all of those things being a possibility.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's see, you did Capricorn. So now we have Aquarius. So this is your 11th house for Aquarius rising people specifically. So this is friends, groups, organizations, people that you associate with by choice. There could be a massive letting go for you with the South Node here with this eclipse of a whole group of people or some type of humanitarian project that you're working on. Or, this is also associated with hopes, wishes, and dreams. Maybe you're letting go of an old dream and moving more towards something that's fun, more joyful with the North Node in Gemini. You can also see from here, this is also our long range plan. So maybe you could be letting go of an old plan and reinstituting a new plan moving forward with something here. Definitely humanitarian pursuits, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's friends, right? Totally letting them go. just letting them fall, or new ones, right, coming in that feel very fated and very karmic and very familiar.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, final, I guess, Pisces. Okay, so Pisces rising, this is a big one for you too. You're going to be having this eclipse in your 10th house, or you've been having these series of eclipses in your 10th. And, these are the angles. Well, if your MC is there, the 10th, the 4th, the 1st, and the 7th, they're very important because it's the structures and foundations of our chart. This is your career. This is how you're known publicly. This is your public status. So even just a status could be changing of who you are, like married or divorced, for instance, or employee versus CEO or something could be changing like that. You're letting go of an old idea of who you are relative to your career, or like a certain belief system you had that maybe you couldn't move forward with a certain something. And now you're letting go of that and you're shedding it so you can become this new version of yourself and experience something new, right? In your career. It's trying to pull you towards something new in the career sector. But first you have to go through this like shedding, like a snake. So that's kind of how I see that, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting too. That's my moon sign, by the way. I'm a Pisces.
Yay! Woo! And you are having a lot of career stuff going on right now.
Yeah, totally.
And okay, so I guess you guys, for the end here, let's just tune into the chat a little bit. We might have to wait for the delay to catch up, but I want to know, now that you've heard all of that, you guys, if there's any questions that anybody has specifically about the eclipse cycle, that Shanna and I might be able to answer really quick for you. We're really excited to be able to do this and so happy to have all of you guys here, and really excited to have all of our Cosmic Academy family here and everything with us. So thank you guys so much. We plan on doing this a lot more. But this is a good time if you have any questions to put them in the chat, anything that you want to add. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background.
Oh, yeah, he's done just like my kids. He's like, come on.
He is. He's barking at squirrels at the back door right now. So let's see. All right, so it looks like nothing's really coming through, and I know that there's quite a delay, but if anybody doesn't have any questions or anything, then I think we're going to go ahead and get this wrapped up. Thank you guys so much again for joining us, and let's see. Everybody's just saying thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. Let us know if you enjoyed this and if you want us to do this again. Again, make sure to tap the subscribe button if you are somebody that's new to this channel, and head over to Shanna's channel. You'll see on the screen, it says Moon Apogee Astrology under Shanna's beautiful face. That's the name of her YouTube channel. So you guys can just head on over to that, tap subscribe, because she posts forecasts and everything on her channel as well. Somebody asked if this applies for progressive charts. So if you do have any planets in your progress chart around this degree, or if it's aspecting this degree, then yes, certainly that is going to be an activation as well. Yeah, you do too, Shanna?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I would check if you are somebody that's familiar with being able to pull up a progress chart or something like that, I would check that for sure. Because it will definitely be a big indicator of activation. Somebody else says, Bonbon825 says, is this eclipse tied to the May lunar eclipse in Sagittarius at around 5 degrees? Shanna, you want to answer this while I let my dog out?
Sure. So the May eclipse that we just had, yeah, so this is at the opposite end of that. So that May eclipse we had, that was at 19 degrees of Gemini. That was a solar eclipse. I think that's the one that you're talking about. So yeah, I mean, this is the opposite of that. So whatever was happening for you around that time, we also had the full moon eclipse in Sagittarius as well. So this could be, that full moon eclipse was a release and reevaluation of what was happening in Sagittarius at that time. An emotional release. This one is actually a solar eclipse, which is bringing something, right? So solar eclipses do bring things. So it could be, yeah, it could be a continuation of that energy, or now that it's a new moon from the full moon, it could be letting go of what wasn't working and moving on to something else as well. I think I answered it. I don't know.
No, I thought that was really, really good. Yeah. Because the last Sagittarius eclipse that we had in the summer was a total blood moon lunar eclipse.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was like a huge like culmination point of whatever this was that was occurring, which for me, it was going back to work after having the restrictions. I was off work for so long.
Right.
So it was like, yeah. So if you guys look back, it's all of these eclipses though, whether they're new moons or full moons, they're all tied and strung together somehow in some storyline. So if you want to look at eclipses, I'll just give you like a tool here really quick. If you want to like get the dates of the eclipses, I think these little tools are really helpful. So I want to share this with you guys. Go to the website astro-seek.com.
I love AstroSeek.
Yeah, this is a great website. And then there's so many things you can do here, but just to stick with this theme, go to moon phase right here. And then if you scroll down to solar and lunar eclipses, you can get solar and lunar eclipses all the way back Jan Wander or Jan. I didn't say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I say that? Jan Wander.
Beyond
I don't know.
Yonder. No, I think that's the right way to say it.
Oh, I haven't been talking correctly at all during this, but okay. So back here, if you want to see like where this started in 2020, you can navigate like the years up here, or you can even go down here to different decades, all the solar eclipses and lunar eclipses all the way back to the 1900s, right? You can go even further back than that if you'd like, but we'll go back to 2020. So the first Sagittarius eclipse that started this cycle, as you can see, it was June 5th, 2020. So you can see that. And you can think back to these time periods, like what was going on associated with these themes, and kind of follow the eclipses through 2020, through 2021 until now. And you can start to piece together some of these things. And I wanted to share that just because I know everybody can't afford or doesn't have the means to get personal readings and everything. So we want to give you guys as many tools as possible to help yourselves. Let's see if we have any more things going on in the chat. Is the orb of influence of the eclipse the same as the sun and moon aspects? What do you mean by that exactly, Andrew? I would say like if you're looking, if an orb, if this is affecting a planet in your chart, it's going to really depend on how powerful the eclipse is, right? So we learn all about this in Heather's course, but a total solar eclipse is one of the most powerful eclipses next to a total blood moon lunar eclipse. So this is a very powerful eclipse, so which means we can use a wider orb of influence. Is this making sense, Shanna? Because I think I'm looking at the screen from like the delayed timing, and you're looking at me like confused.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay. And so basically, Shanna, what would you say with a total eclipse? How big of an orb can we use to personal planets?
I mean, if it's a total solar eclipse,
like 10 degrees.
You're going to be feeling it even 10 degrees out. It's not going to be so disruptive, you know what I mean? But as if the closer you get to that eclipse point, the more disruptive it will be.
So, I mean, we can say with this eclipse, if you have planets or placements in Sagittarius between 2 to 22 degrees, you'll be feeling it. But the closer you get in towards 12, the stronger it will be. And then again, and any of the mutable signs of Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, or Virgo during or in between those degree points.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Somebody says Virgo rising, planning a move to Texas in a year or so. Sounds like I'm on the right track. Yeah, I actually have a client that was in here earlier who's planning a move as well, who's a Virgo rising too.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. Somebody said, amazing talk. Definitely do a live chat for the North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio shift in January. All right, Shanna, you want to do that?
Let's do it.
We're going to do one for the astrology of 2022. So stay tuned for that one as well. Everybody says, thank you, girls. Thank you. James Beck says, howdy. Hi, James.
Hi, James.
And all right, you guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I got to get my butt to work, and Shanna's got kids that are homeschooling right now. So I know she's got to go too, but thank you so much last minute, Shanna, for doing this. We haven't done this in a long time, and I'm like so happy
I know, me too. And what's funny is we're both wearing black shirts.
Oh
with
yeah,
little,
and Ninja Squad.
with little strings on them.
Oh my God. Okay, you guys, well, look for us soon. This is going to be like a regular thing because we do have fun doing this. So signing out. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Best of luck with this eclipse. We've got 2 days. I don't even think we said when the eclipse was.
Saturday.
December 4th.
Yeah.
That would have helped, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
Saturday the 4th.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Now, I don't know how to stop the live stream.
Oh, no.
Let's see. Hold on. I got to figure this out. Bear with me here. End stream. There we go. You can tell I'm a novice.
Well, that's fine. The more you do it, the more you get